That's weird. I was talking to the other guys, and they said you're totally in the clear. So, yeah.
What do you mean I'm in the clear? I'm okay?
About the Robin Williams stuff. Nothing about being kicked out of the Cabal at all.
Oh, that's great news. All right, and spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map, it is the blue Zerg player for the Shopify Rebellion. It is the King of Kings, Lambo.
And the new Prince. Spawning up in the top right, representing Storm Gaming. He is Maximus Paximus.
Very powerful.
He is. He is a... his decision-making is so damn good. Like, it feels like he knows the answer to every weird situation. He really is just a treat to watch.
Yeah, he's definitely a very intelligent kid. I mean, a lot of the time we talk about how it's difficult to kind of go out on your own and have your own build orders and then have those build orders stack up well up against the hive mind that is everyone else working on the standard. And MaxPax is one of very few players across history that is able to come up with his own stuff and have it be sturdy enough that other players will start copying him, no doubt. And that he is playing at the level that he's playing, which is having him top the group so far. And last season it was no different either. He's extremely strong.
Yeah, he really is. And I think we're going to continue to see him develop as a player. I mentioned in the pre-show that he was, struggling a little bit against Cyril because, of course, Cyril is Cyril. And the first time that they played in the playoffs, I think he got 3-0'd. And then the second time they played, he got 3-1'd. And then he played him in an Aces qualifier. And then he 2-1 Cyril. So that is linear growth. Like you can see him getting better day by day by day. Yeah. And it is just such a treat that we're in that position that we get to watch this young kid's career really start to blossom.
Yeah, it's definitely skyrocketing. I mean, as far as the trajectory on a Ligulac or something like that, it's very comparable to the likes of Clem and how fast he rose to the top. There are players who are steadily on the rise, but not very many that rise as quickly and as steadily as MaxPax has. At some point, he will have to plateau because near the top, there's only so much higher that you can go. And we'll see if he's reaching those plateaus now, or if he's going to be able to get past hurdles of the likes of Lambo, who is a player that has been rising steadily, who has been around for a very long time, but not quite that skyrocketing trajectory.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about this Twilight Council opener? We almost always see Stargate openers out of Protoss players and almost always out of MaxPax specifically. Yeah. But he's going to be going for this... I believe, how many probes do we have on gas? I believe it's going to be resonating glaives most likely. Yeah, he doesn't have enough gas for it to be DTs. This is going to be I think, Zest build, just 4-gate glaives.
Yeah, the glaives has not been started yet, so not exactly the sharpest possible timing, but, not bad at all either. And MaxPax, I like it because it's not what we see usually from him. And this is a point that I was about to make, is that yeah, like while players can develop their own playstyles, like MaxPax has, a lot of the time it comes down to them playing the same playstyle over and over in order to make it a competitive playstyle with the meta, right? So we always start with looking at players like MaxPax or like Bly and thinking, oh, they can really do anything. They're so chaotic. Like this is, they can do the unexpected. But usually it settles to where they kind of have to do the same thing over and over, even if it's a little bit different. And because casters or other players don't see it as often because they're playing everyone else or casting everyone else, so it looks like out of the norm. For the player doing the innovation, a lot of the time innovating is about iterating to a good degree. So it's surprising, it's cool, but it's also a little bit worrisome because this may not be something that MaxPax has rehearsed as much. So to pull it out in a high-stakes games like this, will he be able to execute as well as other Protoss can execute this build, which is not completely uncommon? Might catch Lambo off guard, but he surely has a lot of experience dealing with stuff like this.
Yeah, this was the meta for a very long time. We already see the Queens at the front, 6 of them, deflecting these Adepts, but at the same time, the Lings chase that Shade all the way into third base. Beautiful. Ooh, nice job with that Evo Chamber block, but it will get target fire down very quickly. Lambo doing a good job pulling his drones, but MaxPax, he's done a good job of, staying non-committal and getting a little bit of damage.
Yeah, very nice angle from MaxPax coming in at the angle that he came in, right? Like going into the third and threatening the main slash natural push, and all of the queens kind of had to opt for a certain trajectory, and then the Lynx had to chase the Adept Shades. So that leaves Lambo a little bit exposed at some areas, and this is maybe why MaxPax is exploiting or trying to exploit this strategy on this map. But Lambo has done good enough so far. MaxPax perhaps trying to overcomplicate things a little bit too much, not giving his opponent enough credit to think that he is capable of splitting his armies as well as he can. And it's an army that has to be split to a certain degree because he has to be on the lookout for Shades, right? So you can't afford to be running around and chasing Shades with those roaches. A lot of these roaches are gonna have to remain static at the main or at the natural. But here comes the follow-up punch, and there is no Spore in the main. There is one coming from natural, but MaxPax is gonna intercept it. Actually, it doesn't quite burrow. Now, the unit's trying to escort this Spore into burrowing, but there's no transfuse for it, and that means Lambo's gonna have to forego his main base for the time being, Steadfast.
Yeah, this is disastrous already. We are going to see Queens getting bottlenecked at the ramp, one of them going down with a lot of energy. These two DTs will deny that Spore. It's a kill, not a cancel, and Lambo is in shambles a little bit right now. He is struggling to deal with this. He does get a lot of Spores down at his natural, one down at the third, but that means the Zerglings and drones are going to have a disastrous time trying to deal with this. So many of them going down.
Yeah, completely disastrous. MaxPax getting a little bit ahead of himself. They're trying to pick up every single DT with the War Prism, but realizes that if he overstays, he will lose the War Prism with the 3 DTs that he did manage to save. This 1 DT in the main still looking to do additional damage. 18 workers have gone down on the side of Lambo. This is a near irrecoverable position as the MaxPax has already situated his third base. He's already transitioning to Blink, already morphing some Archons thanks to that Dark Shrine that he had available. And most likely going to be preparing for a 3-base type push. In the meanwhile, he's just going to clear creep with the Archons with the help of this War Prism to keep him healthy. And there's nothing really that Lambo can do for a little while unless MaxPax completely drops the ball and lets him kill the War Prism with, Queens.
Yeah, which MaxPax should be good about that. Even getting some good damage on those roaches with those Archon blasts. It is going to be a Blink follow-up here. Ooh, DT sneaking back into the natural expansion. Going to be able to pick off 3. Oh, Lambo pulling the drones. Ooh, that means he's going to lose a lot of drones here.
Yeah.
7 drones. Oof.
Yeah, and that's such a smart maneuver. I think that many or most Protoss players would go and walk with the DT onto that mineral line. But MaxPax stays at the gas, which is perfect because there's enough drones at the gas that you're probably gonna do the maximum amount of damage. The drones at the gas will also cost your opponent more actions. You're wasting less time, right? And you're just giving enough credit to your opponent to say, well, yeah, technically if I go to your mineral line, there's 16 workers that I could potentially kill. But hey, you're a professional gamer, so chances are you'll react far before that. So he settles for the gas and is much more annoying as a result. That's the kind of decision that I love seeing from players like MaxPax.
Yeah, it's a nice little adjustment. It's very subtle, but it also means that then the drone surround is a little bit trickier to get to.
Yeah.
We noticed that as MaxPax got into the corner, he was able to reduce the surface area a little bit. What didn't end up being that impactful, but it was still just a nice little addition to that.
For sure.
Now we did see this quick infestation pit and now a hive. I don't think he's going to be able to get up to that.
Yeah, that's not gonna be very easy here. MaxPax now knocking on his door. If he can snipe the War Prism, I think that might be the best chance that Lambo will have at surviving at all. This fourth will no doubt have to be cancelled. It will have to be given up. The Biles have to be magical. The fourth is not cancelled, but at least that will serve to buy Lambo some time and create a little bit of a choke here for these units to go through should they want to engage onto the Roach Ravager. A lot of force fields actually are spent for not much gain. Only 2 force fields remaining, and the Sentry will actually take a Ravager Corrosive Bile to the face, so it has to be a little bit extra careful. Lambo holding for the time being, not bad.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job with that Roach Ravager. He actually got the Observer initially with the first Corrosive Bile, getting a lot done right there. And Lambo, not only does he survive, he holds on to that fourth.
Yeah,
great job so far from Lambo.
Very surprising, to be honest. I mean, part of it is just having the very low sentry count. It doesn't allow for MaxPax to just kind of section off a lot of the army and pick off the base. And as it stands, I mean, Lambo, do not overextend if you're Lambo, right? Like, you don't want to chase too far out of creep. I think right now is a very bad timing. As much as it looks like MaxPax is on the retreat, I'm really scared for Lambo because he has the ability to make Vipers. and MaxPax is transitioning into Disruptors. So if you're Lambo, nice. Yeah, if you just pull back and chill and you can get to those Vipers, this game can still stabilize in your favor, especially if he catches wind, and he might have seen the Disruptor. The Overlord certainly would have seen it. I'm not sure if Lambo clicked on it or if his screen was over there. Okay, like more likely now than before even, as the Overlord has now crossed 2 Disruptors, and now there's a Viper in production. So certainly he anticipates that this is what's going on. And when he gets a couple of Vipers out, he will be, I think, in a good shape to fight this army.
Yeah, I like this little triple adept squad. Look at this. He's setting up for a triple pronged attack. And he's just going to blink in on top of this hatchery. He'll take it down. Very cool move. Disruptor, just zoning. But now he moves that War Prism back into the main base. He used it to distract the main army. Disruptor, is it going to come in on the army of Lambo? Oh, not sure if it went off there. We do have 11 drones going down in the natural. Disruptor shot. Oh,
good split.
It's a pretty good split, but still a decent shot.
Yeah, for sure. Minimizing damage, but still taking as much damage as he did, right? Still a few 4 or so units go down, but it could have been a lot worse. Lambo making lurkers. I'm not sure why he feels like he should favor this over the Vipers. There is now 1 Viper, but too many Disruptors to actually abduct. 1 will get taken down. At the same time, the War Prism gets taken down. Beautiful job by Niall to catch that in the moment that is most relevant. And these Disruptors are still going to do a lot of damage against these lurkers because, again, there is only just 1 single Viper.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. We haven't seen yet a transition from MaxPax into that Templar Archives. Oh, he blinks forward, though, takes down the Viper, and force fields out those roaches to prevent the punish. Nice little move from MaxPax right there.
Yeah, and Lambo's really refusing to make additional Vipers. A little bit of lag there, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Lambo is obviously a fantastic player, but to me, if you see Disruptors, Vipers have to be just a very, very obvious counter here. And Lambo, I don't know if he's overcomplicating things for himself or if he just feels like he has an answer that's better than the Vipers against the Disruptors. But in my mind, Disruptors will do pretty well against Lurkers. Obviously, that changes a little bit with the Lurkers with full upgrades. They'll be able to relocate a little bit faster. You'll be able to micro a little bit better. But it's still going to be extremely difficult to punish those Disruptors, to take them out of play. And every time they fire, there is at least the potential that your Lurkers will have to either relocate into a worse position or outright die.
Man, so many drones have died in this game. Another 13 drones just went down. That Adept in the main base had 5 kills. We're up to 58 drones having gone down in this game. This has been a really, really strong game out of MaxPax, and now we're seeing double immortal. I like that against the Lurkers. He's not getting any Templar Archives at all.
Yeah, the Immortals are going to be a nice backbone to the army. Nice solid run by here as well, as there are no Lurkers there, and big Disruptor shots there onto center mass of the Roach Ravager composition. The Ravagers are very expensive units. They cost, to put it into perspective, as much as a Mutalisk costs. And again, I mean, these Disruptor shots are going to be unanswered for the most part. Lambo is just going to keep bleeding out. And it's not like he has a super massive economy. If he was bleeding out on the other side of the map while he is doing probe damage or something like that, and these Lurkers are getting taken down, but he's sieging or killing a base here and there, fantastic. But if you're pinned back and you're just trying to survive and you're taking damage in the process, very difficult. Lambo now attempting to do something about it, and I think this is the right call. And even though it might not work out well, trying to do something instead of just bleeding out to death, I think was a decent call from Lambo at the end. And yeah, I mean, I think I'll stand by what I said. I think that Vipers would have been a much better answer than trying to really rush to those Lurkers against these Raptors.
Oh, they certainly would have been. And especially considering the fact that MaxPax never got a Templar Archives. He didn't have those feedbacks available. He didn't have High Templar ready to prevent those Vipers from getting in. It was only the one Viper that was built, and it got picked off by the Stalkers, and then he never rebuilt another one. And the Lurkers, I think we saw them get one good set of spines, didn't even kill any units. It was just literally MaxPax maneuvering around them and then got out of the way of them. And other than that, they were basically just disruptor bait.
Yeah, for the most part, right? And we saw that MaxPax was a little bit more aligned with these thoughts, in that he went for the Viper right away. He picked it off. That was a high priority for him, clearly, like blinking into the potential Lurkers to pick off the Viper, because the Viper was a nuisance. I mean, it got the only disruptor kill that Lambo had was because of the Viper, right? It abducted a disruptor very early on, and it worked out. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully Lambo wins. Maybe we can get an interview and we can ask him why didn't he go for the Vipers. And obviously it is also going to be part of, I imagine part of his answer would be that he felt like he was super far behind or something and needed to stabilize in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I mean, he was near maxed at that point. I really don't see how Lurkers were the easier or better composition to go up against what MaxPax had. Nice recovery from Lambo regardless, right? Steadfast. I mean, he lost so much to the initial adepts and DTs and kind of brought it back a little bit.
And the fact that that was even a close game at all is a testament to this man spawning up in the top right, representing Shopify Rebellion. He is Lambo. The Lambo King.
Of kings. King of darkness sometimes. And in the bottom left-hand side of the map for Psystorm Gaming, it is the Red Protoss player, the Danish masterpiece of something. It is MaxPax. He's so good. What is he 17? Really That's good. Insane.
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine being that on point at 17 years old. Like, it's insane. It's insanity.
And more than that, like, what was impressive to me also is that, like, Raynor, for example, he's very young, but he also has been playing since he was like 11 or something. Like, he's been playing more or less since the beginning-ish, right? So he was like one of the first people to get Grandmaster, for example. Like, people could see Raynor coming up in a slower trajectory type thing where you could see like, yeah, that kid's gonna amount to something in terms of StarCraft 2, right? But MaxPax just came out of nowhere, and he would just pop in on Twitch chats and be like, who's this? Who is this person? Who is that person? Like, he just didn't know anything or anyone, or didn't follow any competitive StarCraft. He just came in like a hurricane, man.
Yeah, he really did. Like a wrecking ball, even.
Yeah.
Just
I'm a big Miley Cyrus fan.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. She's actually pretty awesome. She's cool. Initially, I was like, Disney, whatever, but she's kind of become her own person, which is very, very cool, and like done so in a non-destructive way.
Yeah.
Like Amanda Bynes became her own person, and not a good way.
I don't know, Amanda Bynes.
We won't get into it, but she came up around the same time as I think Hillary Duff and Miley Cyrus.
I see. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Miley Cyrus. I think Malibu is a fantastic song. I hope this is not a hot take. Yeah, I mean, we could contrast Miley Cyrus with other people that I don't like as much, but I think we've done enough of that today. So
fair enough. Yeah. I won't throw you back under the bus now that you've finally crawled out from under the wheels.
Yeah, I've been trying all day.
Oh, look at this. Lambo going to come in here with these Lings. Slipping past, will scout this Stargate first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good information. I mean, in the previous game, he got very much caught off guard by not the Resonating Glaives. He was pretty well prepared for it. Ooh, I love this, the double prong. Gonna try and get a probe, but look at that micro from MaxPax. Very quick to save that probe. Doesn't even lose any hull. Nice.
Yeah, very, very well done. Now the second adept is going to pop up. No doubt he's going to be looking to either move out on the map and then look to take a third back on the retreat, maybe just poke. It's important to kind of keep these adepts alive if possible. So you only sacrifice them if they're going to do a lot of damage, right? Like if they're not going to do a lot of damage, or you anticipate that they won't, best to keep them back, because A, you never know when your opponent's doing something crazy, and B, they'll really help you to take that third base that most Protoss players want about now.
Yeah, speaking of something crazy, we have Lambo building quite a few Zerglings here. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Well, that is great. Did he just cancel? He had a third hatch on the way, right? Or did he never build it?
Not actually sure. I thought he might have had a third hatch. Like I would have. Yeah, it's kind of imprinted in my mind that there should be a third hatch right there and then. So I'd lean towards saying yes. But yeah, I mean, this is great trickery from Lambo, and the Overlord on the left-hand side of the map won't actually be spotted. This Void Ray is going to be on the other side. So best case scenario for the German, he will have free reign to actually drop the Nidus onto MaxPax's base unannounced. And MaxPax, if he goes to the natural, he might catch whiff that something's up. Maybe now he moves a probe, looks for something inside his base, but it's a little bit late and he won't actually catch whiff of it right away. So I think this is Lambo's game already. The scream is going. I would love to see MaxPax's camera turn on for the first time in his life here, because I want to see the reactions to such happenings here, as the probes are going to be pulled off the line. But I mean, it's completely hopeless. I think Lambo going right away after the pylon powering the only 2 gateways worth of production on the ground for MaxPax. There's only 1 Void Ray on the way, but no chance, even if it were to pop up against this many queens, to every single unit producing structure is now depowered from MaxPax. So yeah, this is looking very German as a game.
Yeah, this is fantastic, and I want to point out, well, we are going to have battery overcharge pops. Probes will try and fight. Already so many of them have gone down though, and Lambo, even standing in the full duration of the shield battery overcharge, shouldn't matter too much. Well,
yeah, I mean, it's difficult to call that a mistake or anything like that. It's not like the queens can really get out of the way.
They can't get out of the way.
You start running back, you're just gonna die anyway, so might as well stand your ground and fight. But maybe during photon overcharge might have been a good opportunity for Lambo to check other things going on in his own main base and to try to stabilize like that. And yeah, MaxPax will hold, which I, to be honest, wasn't quite expecting. This was a fantastic attempt at a hold, or a fantastic effort in holding at all. But regardless of this, I would give an advantage to Lambo, seeing that MaxPax only has 10, now 9 workers. MaxPax does have 3 Nexus, but no bank to speak of either. So it's going to be a very difficult recovery.
Yeah, this is a situation where if he has like 400 minerals, you can be like, oh, he can chrono a crap ton of probes. And since Lambo's only on 2 hatches, it's not the worst situation in the world. But he doesn't have that bank. So building probes is going to take all of his resources. Like, oh, and he's even going to lose a couple more here.
That's huge.
That's gigantic. Yeah, that's, what, 14% of his economy right there? That's a ton.
Yeah, and as much as, yeah, go on.
Oh, no, actually, hold the phone. Yeah, no, go on. I have a point for after, but these adepts getting in here, they're gonna pick off quite a few drones, actually.
Yeah, quite a few more than they should be entitled to pick off. Anyway, like, the drones are more losable than the probes, as there's twice as many of those on the side of Lambo. But yeah, for a second, as much as we were praising MaxPax and his decision-making, especially under pressure earlier, this time around, for example, for a quick second, he actually started +1 air, which just made no sense at all. He quickly realized that and canceled it in favor of probes, but he is frazzled, is my point. He's not thinking 100%. Like, this is a chaotic enough game that even MaxPax is going to be doubting himself. He's even going to be making that kind of little mistake here and there. So my favorite type of game, no doubt.
Well, he actually had already started it up, but it had been depowered, and I guess he forgot to cancel it for quite a while, which is still a very that is like an object of being flustered for sure, because that's the kind of situation where you're like, I need these resources for probes now. Like, this is not like, you need everything perfect for MaxPax to have even a chance at a comeback. For sure. It's looking grim. Hydras are going to be moving across the map. He went Hydra speed first. He really wants to bust this quickly, which I don't know if I agree with necessarily. Oh, in fact, he will find the Oracle, though. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool, right? Because again, MaxPax doesn't really have the economy to kind of spread himself too thin. So look, in the wake of this Hydras moving out, MaxPax has to choose between units and between probes. So I wouldn't even mind for Lambo to just move out, just to force out units that are not going to be effective on the counter offense. And then and that's good enough. That's hurting the economy of MaxPax greatly. Now MaxPax having to make units, thinking that he will survive. And Lambo hasn't really overcommitted to this. The more he commits to this, the less I like it in a certain sense, because if MaxPax holds somehow, he might be looking at stabilizing.
Adept's going to get in there. They are going to find some more damage once again. It's going to get cleaned up by Lambo, though. And he finds 5 drones, but he just lost 5 probes. And that's a much worse situation for him, though.
For sure.
Yeah, I liked it. I like what you said. Given the game state, it was actually a really great move. Not often we see 7 Hydras doing so much damage, killing, what was that, like 2 Void Rays, a bunch of probes, an Adept. Like, that was an effective bit of harass, even a Stalker.
Yeah, and again, if we looked at the production during that, very difficult for MaxPax to actually produce probes during that. He had to think, I need to produce units, and he didn't know what was coming. So I only just wish that these 12 circlings and 4 extra hydras that we have, or however many that was, it was a little bit more than that, had been those drones earlier, right? Like if he had just done the 7 hydra push or something like that, that would have been insane, because we now would have like an 80 drone Lambo ready to just close out the game. Instead, he is still gonna be ahead like a good 32 supplier or whatever that is, a good 20 drones, and now taking a 4th base. So definitely a good position for the German, but I wouldn't say it's lights out yet for MaxPax.
I want to point out, by the way, both games have started with what was a debilitating game-ending amount of damage, and both players, both counterpart players to that game-ending damage, have managed to actually at least somewhat stabilize and turn it into a macro game. Yes, there's a gigantic lead for Lambo. Oh, look at that. Did he just see the future, or did he see that with another? What was it, the Zergling on the left that maybe spotted that? You had to have seen that, right?
I imagine it was the circling on the left.
Okay, still great pickoff for Lambo. But yeah, I just wanted, the tenacity of these two players is insane, and just what a treat of a matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well done by both players to stabilize in these particular games. Now Lambo with a good army advantage, but note, if he is not to kill MaxPax with this next attack, and a laser would hate this. A laser thinks that hydras are not the way to do it. This is mostly just a hydra army on the side of Lambo. So if he is not able to kill MaxPax here, okay, hydra banelings are going to be amazing actually, as there are clusters of defense here that are not spread out at all or accounting for banelings themselves. So I actually quite like this for Lambo. The shield battery overcharge should happen on the shield battery that is closerly or more tucked in next to the Nexus there in the back. So we'll see if that happens. There is no baneling speed just yet. It's almost ready, so Lambo's gonna get ready to go. Now it kicks in, and Lambo is going for it. Now onto the cluster of static defense. The battery overcharge is not the one that I was hoping it was. Not that it would have mattered too much, as there was just overwhelming numbers for Lambo. But yeah, again, definitely one of those split decisions that you look for MaxPax to be able to make a little bit better, and Lambo will equalize.
Yeah, really amazing stuff out of, honestly, both players. MaxPax, the fact that he made a game out of that is incredible. Lambo, there's a move that he made in the early game that I wanted to talk about, but it was just constant action, because Lambo was, trying to find damage. MaxPax was trying to find counter damage. There's never really a time to talk about it. But Lambo's move at the very beginning of the game is why we were able to see that Nidus Worm be successful. So he sent the 4 lings across the map. 2 of them went into the main base, drew the Adept back, and dragged it around for a little bit of time. And then the other 2 went into the natural, dragged around for even longer. Without that, the Adept easily scouts the natural, sees no natural, and that build doesn't even exist. It's not, you can't do it at all. But because he held that back for so long, and Lambo is not the kind of player to do a build like that, he ends up taking game number 2. Like, the thought process of Lambo is amazing. And this actually gives me so much hope for him in this season, because this was his key to success against players like Cyril, against players like Hero Marine, against players like Raynor, which he pushed so close to the limit and almost had a 3-2 win against.
Yeah, Lambo is the king, and yeah, good on you to notice that. That's really good. The links definitely distracting the Adept enough that he gets away with that. So the Void Ray actually scouts natural a little bit too late, but even when MaxPax scouted the natural, he didn't go looking for the Nidus right away. So MaxPax maybe dropping the ball a little bit on a couple of occasions there during that game. But Lambo, I mean, exploiting every witch opportunity given to him. In the bottom left-hand side of the map, the King of Kings. It is for Shopify Rebellion Lambo.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right, trying to make something out of nothing. It is Sidestorm Gaming's MaxPax. Unfortunately, conservation of matter laws apply, and you need something to make something else. You can't have nothing and make something else. MaxPax came very, very close. Like, you know what? There was a couple of instances where if he hadn't lost those probes at the 3rd base a couple of times, maybe he gets just enough units out. Maybe his Disruptor transition is actually in time for that push. But yeah, what a great game. Like, the fact that both of these series have started with game-ending damage, and both of these games have started with game-ending damage, and we've gotten games out of them, is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if both players can replicate for this final game. We all anticipated, I think, a close series for this one, and we very much have that in our hands. Very standard openings here so far on Blackburn, as MaxPax will go for a low ground expand off of a gateway first, and just the gas. So Cybercore after Nexus type opener on the side of Lambo. He was forced to take his third location first, as it was denied by this probe from MaxPax, then gas pool, just standard as it gets.
Yeah, it's very normal. Blackburn, one of those maps that does tend towards the longer games. It is a very, very good map for plays like Skytoss. Lambo, very comfortable going against that. He's got extraordinarily good spellcaster control. We've talked up his decision making for good reason. It's because it's fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes the distance, and this could be the game that decides it all, the even game where they head into a macro game. And frankly, I hope we see that. I hope we see a game where it's even going into at least the mid game.
That would be very nice indeed. The first Adept is going to make his way out of the base of the young Dane. He is going to go around and try to scout for any shenanigans that Lambo might be doing on that high ground. Very unexpected, but maybe some Banelings morphing or something like that at this point in the game would be a great surprise. And Lambo has already shown enough range that MaxPax is perhaps a little bit scared of the potential of things that Lambo could put out here. So a Stalker second, most likely to deny information more than anything else, will push this Overlord out, and it will be a Stargate follow-up.
Yep, I was gonna say this is very interesting. He was banking a lot of money, a lot of gas, goes with that Stalker, goes with Warp Gate first, and now goes double Stargate. This is such a cool meta play, because this is the kind of thing that Lambo is going to think might just be that Resonating Glaives build again.
Yeah, more often than not, when you have a Stalker to deny information, it's because you won't have the likes of Void Race to deny information. And Stargate being the more common opener that there is, it's usually not the opener that makes you want to deny information for, right? Like, it should be the most anticipated. But at this level of play, when you're actually playing the mind games, making a Stalker to deny information to go right into Stargates is perfect. Right, and this time around, I mean, it's not the normal Stargates, so a little bit more power to MaxPax on that regard. It's going to be double Stargate Phoenix.
You know what I would have loved to really sell this? Double Adept Warp in at that gateway. I would have loved a double Adept Warp in at the front, show the Overlord, or even I hope that he moves out with 4 Adepts at actually it would be right about now.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's not going to be going for that. He's still gotten Lambo, though, to take the bait. Lambo has cut drones at 38. He's building spores for the DT follow-up that we saw in game number 1. This is remarkably good for MaxPax right now. And these Zerglings, they are going to make taking a third base difficult with these Phoenixes. But these Phoenixes are going to show up very suddenly and very, very, very sharply.
Yeah, I think that the spores might actually be anticipating Stargate more so than the DT follow-up, just simply because of the timing. Like, the DT follow-up wouldn't hit for another minute or so, right? Like, the Adepts would have been hitting at like 4:30 or so, like you were implying. And yeah, I mean, Lambo is not the kind of person to just make stuff way in advance or something like that, anticipate that he'll be too busy with stuff. So I think he's thinking maybe you're going to hit me with a few Oracles or something like that. It's going to be a lot of Phoenix, and this is one of the more annoying things that you can ever deal with as a Zerg player. In my opinion, is Phoenix out of nowhere, but Lambo is kind of half prepared with Queens in position, with lots of Queens at that, with Spores, and now he has made enough Ling Roach that he should be looking to cross over to the other side of the map and try to deny a third. MaxPax does have enough units to maybe anchor 4 at that third, but I'm surprised that Lambo's not even trying. Yeah,
at least moving out with the Zerglings would be a good decision, I think. But And it's only 23, so he probably wouldn't even be able to get too much done with that. And now we're going to be seeing more Overlords getting picked off. He will lose one Phoenix. Oh, nice transfuse right there. Keeping both of them alive. That's actually not so bad for Lambo. Another Phoenix will go down. Oh, Roddy somewhere is cursing.
Yeah, but this is so many Phoenix regardless. I mean, there's only one in the red right now. A lot of drones have already fallen. Yeah, so like the energy on the Phoenix being kept relatively low still. MaxPax now producing Void Rays, kind of anticipating that there could be some sort of counterattack. And I mean, this Lynx, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this just because he's always had that number of Lynx. So the fact that he wasn't hitting 2 minutes ago, as soon as or at least a minute and a half ago when the Phoenix were first revealed, and now he decides to move out on the map is a little weird.
Now, does Lambo know, or sorry, does MaxPax know about this Nidus worm? Is my big question. He does?
No. Yeah,
oh, okay.
That is also my big question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, nice. I had no idea. Thank you.
He's
not going to be able to get into the main, though, which means this is basically just a, what is this, the German subway? When it's via the...
I think it's the Polish, it's a Warsaw subway.
The Warsaw subway?
And I think it's closer to that. It's a laser type move that he adopted. I mean, really, it's just a Nidus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a laser claimed it. So we'll see. It's a lot of queens. It is a little bit of a Warsaw subway. Another Warsaw subway here on the front line as well. This is a lot on the side of Lambo. A lot of queens as well. The Phoenix are lifting up. The transfuses are completely essential here. There are enough Void Rays that they will put up a good fight. The shield battery overcharged at the front once again, as the one in the back this time around wasn't available. So Lambo focus firing that one, ignoring the rest of the shield batteries. Will start doing a lot of damage onto this third. And Lambo, I mean, this is trademark Lambo. Very strong mid-game push against the air-type Protoss. And in spite of not completely scouting what MaxPax was up to, he had a good enough defense and an incredible follow-up to at least grant himself an advantage in this game by taking down this base.
Yeah, I do want to point out, by the way, during that entire fight, MaxPax was, with the prismatically aligned Void Rays, targeted down like 10 roaches. And as a result of that, I don't think Lambo can break through now. And he's actually not in the greatest position. His economy he's just now starting to drone up. It's only at 40 drones, though. Like, it's going to be... MaxPax is very much still in this game, and a lot more so than the previous games. Oh, that shield. Wow, the Immortal just barely getting back in. Pushing up this ramp is not the answer. And that is going to be a hold once again. Does bait out the battery overcharge, but Disruptors are on the way. And if these queens get caught on the ramp against Disruptors, well, that's a big boom.
Yeah. Lambo looking for a little bit of a contain. I kind of like that down the ramp. I mean, it's going to be difficult for MaxPax to move down there. But now thinking better of it, will actually just go back inside with the drones and go back to mining. He has been producing drones throughout all of this. So yeah, while MaxPax has had a drone advantage, Lambo is catching up and he has the real estate to actually exploit it, whereas on the side of MaxPax, it's going to be very difficult for him to actually retake his third anytime soon. A huge Disruptor shot, center mass of the Roach Ling army.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, MaxPax is now up in supply. Oh, I was just going to say, I would love to see a War Prism to take that island base, and that is what we were going to see. Now, on the other side, I would love to see Lambo drop a Nidus Worm there, and just to deny it.
Yeah, you would have to anticipate it. I mean, I think it's a very difficult decision from MaxPax. A little bit of an oversight, obviously, to load as many probes as he did to start. Just one would have been perfect. The rest could have continued to mine inside his base, but maybe he's completely oversaturated anyway. Yeah, mostly oversaturated he would be, so not the worst thing in the world here, as he will take that base. It will be a secret base of sorts. Lambo's still very well fanned out on the edge of this ramp here, so it's gonna still be difficult for MaxPax to come down there. But yeah, if Lambo doesn't catch wind of this extra expansion and he just thinks, okay, I'm on 3 base, soon to be 4 against 2, and he just overextends, keeps making too many units, something like that, and the game extends to where MaxPax is actually working off of a strong 3 base economy and Lambo's not taking more of the map or taking more advantages elsewhere, that could be dangerous. As I say that, however, Lambo is taking up to a hive, so not really cutting any corners, not giving his opponent the respect that he deserves. He's gonna be taking up and trying to make something else happen.
Yeah, I like the very quick hive. I think that's a good call. Vipers should be his weapon of choice here. He knows that disruptors are out. He knows there's a lot of void rays. Both parasitic bomb and abduct going to be incredibly valuable in that situation. But this is a problem for Lambo. If he does not find out about this base, it's going to be a big deal. Like this is. Honestly, I think I might even like MaxPax's position just a little bit more if that doesn't get scouted.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially with moves like this. MaxPax is going after the hatchery. There's a lot of transfuse available, but is it enough? Only 1 or 2 more? No, it's not going to be enough. That's too many void rays, and it will outpower the Queen's ability to heal that base. So now Lambo reset back to 3 base. That's going to be an uneven count to MaxPax, who has now secured this island expansion and is working on a 4th of his own. So Lambo, if he scouts this 4th, he might be thinking, okay, well, you're a little bit slow to your 4th, and the only giveaway for Lambo is really going to be the amount of units that MaxPax is able to produce. Presumably off of 2 base, that should really give him a hint, hey, something's up.
The thing is, it's so tough to know because you don't know how good the army retention is sometimes, and when disruptors come out, they can just make your brain go fuzzy. You know, you lose a bunch of roaches and you're like, ah, crap. What's the game say? What should it be? Like it can just really throw you off. And a player like MaxPax is doubly good at making your brain go fuzzy. Yeah. And it would be very easy to miss that and not realize that there is this additional, you know, there's 20 more supply than there should be or whatever. That being said, those beams were thick from those void rays. They absolutely took that hatchery to pieces. And now Lambo has really, I would say, the biggest timing he could ask for. 6 Vipers with a ton of energy. And it is going to be all up to them. Oh, there's the scout. Okay, he sees this, but I don't think that Nidus Worm will actually complete. I'm pretty sure the cannon kills it.
Yeah, it would be amazing for Lambo if he forces a recall over there, but it won't be the case. He will abduct. However, a lot of these disruptors on the ground, one will still go off in the middle of those hydras. Another carrier will also go down. Needs a couple of parasitic bombs, would be really nice. They, of course, don't overlap, but even just the one. There we go. There's one. Now abducting another carrier. Things are going swimmingly for Lambo. He needs to take care of those disruptors. This one almost connecting, but it won't. And the carrier numbers have already been diminished. This is fantastic work from Lambo. I don't even think that he needs to kill his opponent right now. I think that this was already very, very strong damage on his side. He could go back for that extra base on the high ground or on the island. He could break those rocks and go for it. Instead, he thinks that he's strong enough on this location, so all the power to him if he's able to make it work.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I would have liked to have seen him go back home and maybe recharge those Vipers.
Yeah.
He will get chased back. He is still doing good work, and he's actually going to drop the Nidus Worm in the main,
that's fine.
It's not going to get up, though, I don't think, right?
Yeah, but that's fine. It allows for the retreat. He knows where the army of MaxPax is. Now he can really reconsolidate and maybe look to break those rocks that we were talking about and just siege the island base from the ground perspective rather than trying to enter through the Nidus. And that's exactly what MaxPax is looking for. He thinks that that is likely the best move. So he's kind of putting his army in a neutral location and trying to scout for this move that we have been talking about. Now Lambo going for those rocks that I was hoping he was going for in the very beginning. And this is the area, the angle of attack that MaxPax is going to struggle with the most, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It takes a long time for the disruptors to get over there. On the other hand, Lambo could find his army a little bit trapped there, but these Vipers should be able to get some big abducts. There is a nice feedback that comes in on one of them, and Storm is about to finish, but he is going to lose that base, and MaxPax, he makes a very, very mature, wise decision and just sacks the base. He says, no, if I try and hold this, I lose the game.
Yeah.
And I think he probably would have. So great decision-making for MaxPax there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rather binary decision. Do I defend or do I not? And no would have killed him. So I think that's the decision that he had to make for this game to continue at all. He is at a 167, 169 now supply. So, you know, he still has some chances here. But Lambo has to be on the lookout. I think as long as Lambo denies the 4th base, then he's in good shape. I don't think Lambo needs to attack into the natural or the 3rd anymore. I think just look for the outskirt bases. That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to head north. He's going to check the very north just for the lulz, but definitely this gold base. And that is the perfect siege here onto that base. Storm is available for MaxPax, so Lambo doing a very good job of sectioning off some Hydra so that he doesn't take the full damage from that Storm while still threatening the Nexus.
So here's a bit of a problem scenario for Lambo. He is, big storm coming in. He is pretty much maxed out, and he only has mostly Hydras in that army. There are a lot of Vipers. He's adding on Corruptors, and he's getting ready to transition into a very late game setup. But this is Carrier Disruptor Storm. Yeah. This is a good number of Void Rays. The carrier count is not crazy. It was reset. It's only 3. He's got +2 on those carriers. And yes, 2-2 is done on the Hydras now. He's going to need to find a way to trade those out efficiently, because I think we're at the point where he can no longer break MaxPax.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you think he can?
No, definitely not. I think that he can pick away at MaxPax with those Vipers. He has a very high number of Vipers, and he can continue to try to deny or trade for the 4th and bite for the 4th base location, right? Like, I think that that's what he needs to do. Just prevent mining from the gold if he can. Continue to spread creeps. Start a Spore Spine Crawler Forest. Now he's adding Broodlords. He's adding the Ultralisk Cavern as well. So he will have utility and use for his gas. Even making an Evo Chamber here for the Vipers to have a, or actually that's the Ultra Cavern. What the hell?
Why the hell is that in the middle of the map?
I don't even know. That has to be a misclick. So
the thing is, you would want an Ultra Cavern in this situation, I feel. Like, I think it's a great decision. It's the worst possible place you could put it on the map.
Yeah, I'm personally of the opinion that Ultras and Broodlords do overlap a little bit in role. They definitely do overlap in role. So I don't mind Ultras and Broodlords if you can absolutely afford it, but I don't think it's something that you want to rush towards like together, right? Like, you don't want to be like, okay, it's time for Ultras and Broodlords. Like, they get advantages from very different sets of upgrades. You need the Ultra upgrades to come in handy later. So later on in the game, sure, you have a bunch of Broodlords, some Ultras on the ground to section things off, fantastic. But right off the bat, not necessary. A lot of the time you can spread yourself a little bit too thin, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely you can. I think that they serve a good purpose. It's so funny. Yeah, that has to have been a misclick, because he's not even getting like chitinous plating, so yeah. That's very funny. Oh God. We see the Ultralisk trophy from Nyal right there. That's showing us the horrors of an angry Protoss or Terran.
Yeah, this is quite a beautiful siege though from Lambo. He managed to spread the creep to this base location. This is the base that he really needs to be continuing to contest for. This one and now the northern base, as those are the ones that can be mined. And the 3 bases of MaxPax, I mean, 2 of the initial 3 are already mined out. So it's a waiting game. Like, you don't have to trade super efficiently if you're Lambo. Like, as long as you're trading on the side of the map of your opponent, as long as you have that Spore Forest to fall back on, and as long as you're denying mining, then this can be a perfectly sound plan from Lambo. He doesn't have to have the most army complexity or the best army composition possible against this type of army that MaxPax has. What he has is perfect if he can get somewhat decentish trades and keep the tempo up, keep denying the spaces.
Yeah, and he's been doing a fantastic job of just trading out those Hydras as efficiently as possible, knowing that MaxPax is never going to be in the greatest position to, crush the army. He always has to defend multiple places, and Lambo has just done a perfect job of trading out those Hydras as efficiently as he can. They will finally all get taken down, but as that happens, he's going to move forward with Broodlords. Will find a Disruptor here and gets... the High Templar. 2 of them surviving with red HP right there. Oh, yeah, man, they just barely
That was super scary. Beautiful move from Lambo, right? To identify, okay, I know where your army is, so a lot of my Hydras will die, but I also know that there's a group of specialists here in the High Templars and the Disruptors that I can threaten with my Broodlord Viper. Unfortunately for the Vipers, of course, if the High Templars are paying attention, the feedbacks could be lethal. Or close to lethal, I suppose. But hey, here comes a big engagement. I'm not sure that this is the one that Lambo wants, but a good parasitic bomb center mass of the carrier and Void Ray numbers are going to be fantastic. The Broodlords do have the Spore Forest to retreat to, and there is a few Corruptors, but not too many. So maybe a couple of Abducts. I don't know if I like Lambo overextending here a little bit. He does have a 50 supply advantage. I'm just not sure that he needs to push the issue, and I don't know that his army can actually fight with this army of MaxPax, but he seems to think so, and Steadfast, he is making it work. I mean, these are fantastic trades for the German. There's nothing left on the ground, no storms were to be seen, and in spite of the battery overcharge, I think that Lambo is beginning to close this game.
Yes, he is. Yeah,